Hey there, academics and scholars. Welcome back. A quick video this week to sort of break down the course content that you've got coming at you so that you can understand it, comprehend it, and be able to complete your coursework with lots of expertise. Let's talk about it. This week is about motivation, which I prefer to focus on discipline, but the chapter in the textbook calls it motivation, and we'll talk about my feelings on that in a moment, and goal setting. Okay, these two things work in conjunction, correct? Your motivation and your discipline helps you be able to stay focused, and achieve your goals, right? And goal setting requires that you are clear about your goals, that you're specific, that you stay disciplined while you're moving through those goals, and that you show some grit because things are never going to go exactly the way you planned, and that you're patient because success is messy. We don't think of it like that, right? We see all these successful folks and they are where they need to be, and what we see is the result of all of their effort, but we don't see the up and down messiness. Success is not a straight line, right? Success is up and down, and it zigzags all over. So take a deep breath when it comes to achieving your goals, whether it's academic or otherwise, and know that it's a process, it's a journey, and that as long as you, referring back to last week, keep a growth mindset, right? Be able to have a true belief in yourself and your ability to learn, and a true effort that you put work into things every single day, that you will see growth and you will learn those things and you will achieve, right? So let's apply that growth mindset, right? Hard work plus a good attitude equals success to this information we're learning about goals. Let's talk about it. So setting goals should be a priority of a successful person. Every successful person sets goals. Now, I want you to think about the last goal you set. And most of us can set a goal, or at least put it out there, right, into the universe. I'd like to blank, get fit, get a new job, buy a car, whatever it is, right? But the hard part comes when things don't come really quickly, and we have to stick with something that we don't always see the results very quick, very fast. We tend to give up. Okay, we're learning through growth mindset that things are not meant to come easy if they're worth having, right? That we have to put in the effort, that we have to stick with it because we know that we're capable. Okay, transitioning to college, this is a necessary skill of goal setting, because a goal without a plan is just a wish. And how many of us have just put wishes out there and then been upset when they haven't come true? Well, we haven't actually done the work. So let's talk about goals, and let's start with why they're important. Setting goals helps us and our brains convert these thoughts that we have for our success into doable milestones, right? So it helps us create these little mini goals throughout that help us understand and see where we're going, right? It gives us a direction in life. It helps us then, if we have these goals, to use our time effectively, to be productive. And they also give us a chance to reflect. Did I hit that mini goal? Am I moving towards my long-term goal, right? All of this helps us in our brains be able to stay disciplined to be able to achieve them, okay? All right, so this class is all about giving you the best science to work smarter, not harder. And let's talk about the strategy you can use to help you set better goals. And that is called SMART goals. Now, SMART is an acronym, meaning that the letters in the word SMART stand for specific, measurable, attainable, okay, realistic, and time-bound, okay? So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. We need to make sure that when we set a goal that all of these things apply, and that we've really given ourselves an opportunity to sit down and be specific about all of these things. Is it specific? Not just I want to lose weight, but I want to lose 5 pounds, right? It's measurable. I can measure that. It's attainable, 5 pounds, sure. And we want to keep it time-bound. So I want to lose 5 pounds this month, 4 weeks. That's plenty of time to lose 5 pounds. Now, if you said you wanted to lose 5 pounds tomorrow, not as realistic, right? So SMART goals help us be able to create small goals, but also long-term goals. So short-term goals, sometime around 6 months or less, and long-term goals. In every area of your life, you should be doing this. Your personal life, your finances, social life, academic, obviously professional and career. And why? Because setting goals in this way, again, helps you work smarter, not harder, but it also helps you internalize these goals for yourselves, right? You're more likely to achieve them because you've invested in them, okay? And when you achieve these mini goals, and these long-term goals, of course, I want you to reward yourselves in some way, right? That could be telling yourself, I'm not going to finish binge watching this series I'm super into on Netflix until I finish my homework. That you can make a SMART goal. I'm going to make sure to be done by this assignment by 5:30 today and give it my best effort. Reward yourself by all means, okay? So setting goals is easy, but sticking to them is harder. Even when we use our SMART goals, we have to know that we are setting up these goals to move in the direction that we want our future to go, but it's not going to be simple. You already know that. And what do you need? To stick with it, you do not need motivation. Okay, I want to really talk to you about this. Motivation is great when it shows up, but Lordy, you guys know you don't always have motivation, right? Some days you wake up with it, but most days it's a struggle, right? It's a bear sometimes to get out of bed or to show up to class or, to have a sunny disposition at work, okay? All of these things. Sometimes you're motivated, sometimes you're not. And because motivation is finicky, we need to focus on discipline. If you can get yourself disciplined, meaning you don't need to feel like it, but you know that it is good for you, doing these things that even if you don't feel like them, you know that they are good for you, and that you will feel better afterwards, that is discipline, okay? And so we need to harness discipline in order to achieve our goals, okay? Because you won't always feel like doing it, but that's what separates successful people from not successful people, knowing that I have a growth mindset, that I can do this, and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to make it happen, okay? Let's talk about a couple of ways, and you're going to notice this all over Canvas this week, a couple of things that you can do to sort of life hack yourself when it comes to discipline. So you may have heard of the chemical dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical that exists in your brain. It's sometimes called the motivation or desire chemical, okay? Dopamine acts as a motivator, creating a sensation of pleasure when the brain is stimulated by achievement. So dopamine plays a key role in keeping us focused on our goals and motivating us to attain them. And it rewards us by elevating our mood, okay? That's the word dope comes from the word dopamine, okay? So looking for some sense of achievement. Now we can life hack dopamine. Okay, we can make sure that we are doing little things in our lives that will help us sort of harness the energy of dopamine, right? That little high you get from achieving things by setting up calendars and using them. Okay, when you can check things off a to-do list, you're sort of getting that little strike of dopamine that makes you feel good, like, oh, I'm productive today, right? Getting a schedule and sticking to it makes you feel like, oh, I'm being, again, productive in achieving the things I want to do. Being careful that we're not accepting excuses from ourselves, setting up better habits every day, getting outside, eating well, seeking help and assistance when we need it, right? Getting involved on campus, all sorts of things like that. Dopamine exists. And if we can harness it instead of using dopamine in the way that we tend to do, which is like playing on our phones and using social media, we can use dopamine and those little like pleasure-seeking chemicals in our brains to help us with micro deadlines and recording small accomplishments and calling your grandma to tell her you did great on that test you studied for. All of this releases dopamine to reward you for achievement. So be thinking about setting up to-do lists. Be thinking about calling your friend or your mom or your dad and letting them know how you're doing in that class and that you did something difficult. Celebrate all of these things and find little ways throughout your day where you can really find that dopamine, that little high that you get when you find things that are productive in your life, okay? You'll also notice that on that learning page about dopamine on Canvas that you have information on a digital detox, right? Our phones provide us a whole lot of dopamine, but it's actually dulling our receptors. It makes us insensitive to the actual dopamine that we do in our daily lives, right? So that's why we're constantly on our phones. You know what I mean, right? Like, you ever just sat there at lunch or something and you just find yourself picking up your phone even though you told yourself to put it down? That's your dopamine. We get addicted to our phones because we're seeking that dopamine, right? It's like gambling. It's like a slot machine, right? You don't know that there's something interesting for you to find on your phone, but every once in a while there is. So it's like gambling, okay? So be thinking about taking a digital detox to reset those dopamine receptors in your brain. So that's helpful for you, using dopamine to help you achieve your goals through little things that you can do, okay? So that's kind of using dopamine is sort of a short-term way to help you achieve your goals, setting those little life hacks, right? A long-term way of helping you achieve your goals is by actually training your brain. And this is called neuroplasticity. Think about that word, right? Neuro meaning your brain, plasticity meaning malleable, that it changes, that it adapts, right? We now have the neuroscience, which we did not have 10 years ago, to tell us that our brain can change at any age through a process called neuroplasticity. And what this means, and this is brand new information, we thought that our brains, if you scanned them, look pretty much the same when you're 20 and when you're 80, unless there's some sort of problem, right, in your faculties. But we now know that if you do things differently, if you create new habits for yourself, that you can actually change the neural pathways in your brain. You can shrink some and you can get new ones and make those stronger than those old ones. So for example, if you're always 5 minutes late and everybody in your family makes fun of you because you're always 5 minutes late, that's not a personality trait, that's a bad habit, right? So we can create new habits, and if you start making sure that you are on time by setting alarms and waking up earlier and making sure that you slept well the night before, et cetera, that when you're there early the first time, we have set up a new habit for one day. We know through science that new habits form after about 21 days of repetition. So if you can practice being on time for a certain amount of time, about 3 weeks, that you can actually form a new neural pathway in your brain, and it can become stronger over time than that late neural pathway in your brain, and you can actually change. And we can see this under brain scans. We can see new habits forming in your brain. Procrastination, that it's just a habit, you can change it. Being really reactive and angry, we can change it by doing something different, right? Taking a deep breath, counting to 5, and thinking through your responses instead of being so reactionary. There's some really great information on Canvas and the learning pages about dopamine and neuroplasticity. To me, neuroplasticity is a fascinating new area of science, and there's just limitless possibilities to what we could do with it and how we could harness that, right? But the bottom line is that you're going to need discipline, right? Not motivation, but actual discipline to get things accomplished, to set those goals, to make sure those goals are SMART, right? SMART, and that you accomplish them through really having a strong growth mindset. Okay. All right. So some reminders. Due this Sunday, you guys have the I Can and I Will project. Read the directive carefully. You're in an online class, so make sure you're reading directions carefully. The project itself asks you to create a collage. It can be digital or it can be tangible. If it's tangible, just take a photo of it, and it should include 2 short-term, so 6 months or less, SMART goals, and 1 long-term SMART goal. And these can be in any area of your life you wish. You will also have my formula for growth mindset. So hard work plus a good attitude equals success, somewhere very visible on your collage, as well as images, pictures, words that reflect who you are and where you want to go in life. Okay. The second part of the assignment is a reflection. It's about 400 words, that's the minimum, and it's 2 paragraphs, and there's a lot of description on how to complete that on the directive. I wish you guys a great week. Remember to reach out if you need me during office hours. Take good care.